Hi, my name is Corinne Bloom, and I'm a life coach and mentor. And today I want to talk to you about feelings. So a lot of people talk to me or ask me questions about feelings, and there are a lot of perspectives, varying perspectives out there as to what feelings and emotions are and how to deal with them. Should we transcend them? Should we experience them? And I personally come from the belief that we wouldn't have feelings and emotions if we weren't meant to experience them. I think it makes us unique as human beings that we have feelings and emotions and that we experience life a lot through them. But I think the key is, what is our attachment to them? So the first thing to really look at with feelings, and I really like to use the analogy of a color wheel, is that all emotions or feelings are neutral in the sense of, as a color wheel, we might prefer one color to another color, but it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. They're just colors. And so it's the same thing with feelings and emotions, is that we might prefer happiness to sadness, but they're both just equally a feeling, and they're equally an expression of our experience. And so they're important. They're equally important and valid. What happens is our suffering comes in when we feel like we should not be feeling what we're feeling, or that it's somehow not okay, or that we're ashamed of it or embarrassed of it. But it is that resistance to the feeling that really causes us pain. And sometimes the resistance is because we're afraid. We're really afraid of feeling this emotion because it can be really intense. The visceral experience of our feelings can be really intense. But normally what I find, which is you could say ironic, is that it's in that resistance. It's just before actually getting to the feeling where it's the scariest, it's the most painful, it's the most shameful. Whatever it is for you, it's that space right before you actually tune into the feeling that really is the most intense. So when feelings arise, you can ask yourself, can this be okay? Can what I'm feeling be okay? Can that be my experience in this moment, and can I trust and surrender into that experience? And normally what we find is that once we allow ourselves for that feeling to just be there, it can exhale, it can let go, something in it softens, or sometimes the emotion comes up a little bit more, and if there are tears come forth, but it's a release because we've finally given permission to our experience to be experienced. So you can imagine it that if you're wanting to do something and somebody keeps on saying, no, you can't, that's not okay, that's not good enough, that you're not worthy of doing that, you're always going to be meeting that resistance, and you're going to get really frustrated, and you might get angry, you might get upset, or you might, whatever the emotion is, you're in a feeling of stuckness in that. So it's very much the same with our emotions, is there's a part of us that needs to express itself, that needs to have a voice. And every time we try to suppress it and push it down, it gets louder and more irritated and angrier. And this can happen not just with anger and sadness, but actually with joy. We suppress joy a lot more than we think that we do. And that might sound funny because we all want to be happy, but actually there are many, many ways in which we suppress and forebode joy. So can it be okay? The first step is, can what I'm experiencing be okay? The second step that's really important is that when fear comes up, which often it does when we're having emotions, good or bad, even though I don't like to use good or bad, what are we needing underneath this? If we go to the need that's alongside the feeling and emotion, then we are able to express the emotion with a little bit more of a sense of safety, because we're looking after ourselves, we're taking care of ourselves, we're actually being really present within our experience rather than in the reactive mode of the emotionality of whatever we're experiencing. So just tune in. What am I actually really needing? What is this emotion coming from, or what is it trying to tell me, or what does it need to voice or express? So just tuning into that. And then the third step, and this you might need to do in more of a private space, but learn to give your emotions a voice, but in a, I want to say a useful or positive way, but that's not really the word that I'm looking for, because really it's about giving it a medium in which it feels good to come out. So you're not you're not thrashing it or unleashing it out in a forceful manner, but maybe when you have a lot of emotion, you might need to move, you might need to sing, might need to bring your voice and sound out, you might need to draw, you might need to go in nature, but finding a medium that works for you. For a lot of people, it could be running or yoga or taking a moment to be still and sit in meditation, but allowing the feeling to come up and out. Because as Ken McLeod so simply says, and I really like this, is that feelings are meant to be felt. And when they're felt, they can poof, they come out and they can release. It's in the resistance to the feeling. If we think, I shouldn't be feeling this way, that's where our struggle begins. So I hope that this has been helpful as a beginning to just being with your feelings and knowing that there's nothing wrong with them and that there's nothing wrong with you. Practice just the acceptance of having them there, of feeling into them, of expressing them, and really learning from them, because they're here to tell you something. So I hope that's been helpful, and I wish you well on your journey.